Hey, what's up, everyone? This is John with Superfly, BeSuperfly.com, maker of Divi child themes, plugins, and layouts. In this tutorial, we're going to do a little bit of advanced CSS with pseudo classes and elements. These guys can really up your game for your sites. And I'll be doing most of this tutorial here in CodePen, but you can take this code and be able to apply it to your Divi sites, and I have a couple examples of that as well. So first, I'm just going to go over my HTML here that we have, and so not much going on here. I have a main container that's just keeping everything centered at 800 pixels there, and then I have an image container that has this image in there, this guy, and then just an H1 page title, paragraph text there, and then a list. And then as far as the CSS goes, here I'm setting my body background color, my text color. I'm pushing the content away a little bit here. Setting my font size. That container that wraps around everything, I'm setting that to, you can see here if I do that, it gets wider. So I'm setting that to 800 just for this example, and this code centers that on the page. Just setting my image container to position relative, that's important for later. I have a little box shadow here on my image here. If I do this to 0.9, you'll be able to see it there a little more. And then I cleared out my padding for my unordered list there, so I can have it all the way here to the left like that. And then for my list items, I just set a background color of this transparent black here at 10%, and then I removed the margin. I gave it a little bit of 10 pixels top and bottom padding, and then 20 pixels on the left and the right. Got rid of the bullets. Let me see if you cut that, so that gets rid of your bullets there. And then this code I'll go over in a second, and then I have some code that we're about to go over to add some interactivity here. So the first pseudo class I want to talk about is the hover state. And so you've probably seen this before with links. You hover over a link color, and it gives you a different color or something like that. But you can also use this on other features. So up here before on my image, I have this box shadow and it's 30%. And now I'm saying, hey, when I hover over my image, make that 0.7. So when I hover over my image, that box shadow is automatically going straight to 70%, and it's going from 80 pixels spread to 120. But it kind of jumps and does it, and that's where this all code is going to, this transition code is going to help. If I copy this transition code and I put this on my image here, now when I change from the 80 pixel spread 30% to the 120 spread 70%, it's going to gradually do it over that 0.3 seconds. So if I change this to 1 second, it's going to do it over a second, which is a little slow. 0.3 seems right. So that looks good. That's one of the hover effects that we have. The other hover effect I want to do here is on the ULs down here. So let me go ahead and actually let me X that out. On these guys right here, before we set on each individual list item, LI here, first item, second, third, we set a background color, and I mean, I actually could give it, some margin, maybe some margin bottom, just to show you each one. There we go. That way you can see them separate a little bit. And they each have their own background color. So if I turn this hover on now, and this one already has, these LIs already have this transition all. So now it's going to fade the background color from 0.1 all the way up to all the way solid black, like so. I'm going to get rid of that 3 pixel margin bottom now, because I don't really want that. I like them together. There we go. So that's the hover effect. And another one I want to talk about is called focus. And this is usually on contact form inputs. So if you have an input and you say focus, and then you can write your code. So I'm just going to show an example of that. Here we have our construction project pack, and you can see down here on this form, as I click in certain boxes, the color darkens on that on the edge there, except for my text area, which we'll fix here in a second. So if I right click here, I'm going to inspect this. Let me pull this up a little bit. There we go. So here's my input. What I can do is up here under this pseudo class toggle element state, I can turn that on and click hover, and you see that's not doing anything. But what about focus? And there you see focus brings in this border color of this color. I'm going to copy this really quick. Actually, you can see the rule right here, and it should be working on my text area. So I'm not sure why that's not. Let me see here. Text area focus. Huh. I'll have to take a look at that. That should be working. Actually, what I could do is I could just go. You can click on something like and then add a new rule right here, and I could just say focus, and then paste in my border color like so. And now when I focus that, it should. There we go. Or I could have made it that yellow color. That probably would have been a nice touch. But that's the focus pseudo class. And if you're new to this inspect element deal, there's a tutorial here on our website where I walk through how to use inspect element in great detail. So that's that there. All right, the next one I want to talk about is first of type and last of type. Or yeah, first of type and last of type. Actually, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and write let's say I like this, but I want to maybe change the default background color of my first item or my last one here. What I can do is I can do go to the ULLI and then say first of type background color. I'm just going to copy this guy. I might say 0.5, let's say. So now you can see by default my first one is half, is 0.5 instead of 0.1 up here. But you'll see when I hover over it, it doesn't change, and that's because it's overriding my hover state because it's after it. If I just move this up and in front of this, so my hover is after it, now it'll honor my hover. Let me bring this down to like 0.3. There we go. Now it'll honor my hover. And you guessed it, if I say last of type, it's going to drop that to the last one there. So that's first of type and last of type. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Another one you can do is called nth child. Nth child is pretty powerful. You can call out individual ones. So let's say I want this third item to have the we'll say 0.4. I want to target that third one. I can say ULLI nth child 3, and it's going to go in and it's going to grab that third one and only apply my style to that one, or 2, or 1, which does the same as first of type, or last of type would be 4. But if your client adds more items, you'd want to use last of type to target that last one. Another cool thing though you can do here is you can do odd, which is great for like table striping. And you can also do even, which will do the second and fourth one. So that's a cool trick there. Let me go ahead and turn this down like 0.3, or maybe even 0.2. Really super subtle. Yeah, it looks great. Okay, the last two I want to talk about is before and after. And this is a big one because we use it all the time. Uh, I use it here in this Divi master layout on our site. You can see we have a gradient button. If I hover over it, it actually does a different gradient. You can't really do this in Divi. You can set a normal state gradient color, but when you hover over it, it's not going to fade into another gradient. It's going to just do a solid color. So it's really hard to make these using like that one's really pretty, I think. And I actually have a whole video on how to create these buttons, but you actually use, you'll see down here in some of the code here, right here, I'm using that before pseudo element to help achieve this effect and a hover there. So I'll put these links up in this tutorial. But so we use it there. We also use it to create color overlays for sections. So you can see here before the overlay, it's kind of hard to read that text, but then we can put like a transparent dark color overlay over the section. Now I can read the text a little better. And you'll see here, go to the before area in Divi. In the back end of Divi, there's in the CSS area, there's those before and after areas. That's what we're going to talk about here in a second. Here's some of the code you can see placed in the before area and whatnot. Of course, now if you wanted to achieve this effect with the overlay in the section, you can just buy our Divi Background Plus module. It does this. It even lets you have gradient backgrounds over your parallax and video backgrounds. And there's a nice gradient over a parallax image there. This right now is not supported in Divi. If you have our plugin, you can do this kind of stuff. So just a shameless plug there. But I'll leave this link up here. But we're going to work with this a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is I want to unactivate this code here, or activate this code, and go through what it's doing. So the best way that I can describe before and after, I saw this graphic from CSS Tricks, and this is great. So here you have your main element, and then your before and your after pseudo elements are like extra layers you can use to put content in, or to do like I said, those overlay effects, which I feel like is more often what they're used for. But this first example is I'm using actual content in the before. So I'm saying, hey, go to my H1, and actually we'll just yeah, this is great. Go to my H1 and go use the before pseudo element, and I want you to use the Font Awesome 5 brands font. Here's the content, which gets me this code pen icon there. And normal font weight, margin right 10. That's just pushing the title away there. And then actually this here, initially it was kind of up there, and I wanted to move it down a little bit. I wanted to move it down a couple pixels, maybe even 3. No, 2's right. And that's so in order to do that, I need this position relative. So these guys go hand in hand. And then here I'm setting the color. But I don't have to. I could actually I could get rid of both of these here, and I could say content hello, and so you can kind of see what it does. But I feel like most of the time, as far as content goes, it's a bit you can use like a font awesome icon, which is great, because I could even say, font size of this guy 14. Yeah, and then I could, well, that's really small, maybe 18. And then I could use my top here and say -2 or -6, or I could position that. So that's pretty sweet for the before. That's a good use of putting content before. You can also put actual like HTML, or I mean, I'm sorry, like I did earlier with the text, or you can also put images in there. But it's really hard to control the sizing of the images there. So I'd mostly use this for font awesome icons. Or if you have an icon that you want to use that's the exact right size, I'd say go ahead and go for it. Okay, so here we go with I'm going to pull this down. So let's say I wanted to put a color overlay over this image. There's a couple ways I can do that. And the first way is I'm going to use this before again. And this time it's saying, hey, go to my image container, this guy, go to the before pseudo element. And for content, we don't want to put anything. I mean, I could put something in here, but it's just gonna put it up there. So we're gonna leave it empty. And then by using this display block, height 100%, width 100%, position absolute, and this stuff, you can set a background color. I mean, I'm sure I could put values in here like this to get some funky stuff happening, you know, which that's kind of cool. That could be cool, I guess, if with the right background color. But we'll just leave this to 0. And then I'm setting a background color here, however dark I want that. You know, I can do the same thing with the after pseudo element. So most of the time I use before, but you can also use after. This time I'm using a white overlay, but the same idea. And then the cool thing is, here I have one where what I'm doing is I'm setting the before pseudo element to the background color to all the way to 0. Here's like 0.5, but I'm doing all the way to 0. Actually, I can just do the 0 there. And then I'm saying, hey, when I hover over it, when I hover over my image container, go to the before area and change that background color to this yellow color. And then I have that transition all. It's going to help it be a smooth transition. So that gets me this kind of effect. So I think that's pretty much a wrap on these pseudo classes and pseudo elements. Again, if you as you get to know these and understand them and use them in your designs, it's going to take your designs to the next level. And yeah, again, I'm John with Superfly. Be sure to check out our brand new header and menu maker plugin. Check out our demos. What it allows you to build your header area up here in Divi. We have some pretty sweet demos allowing you to do different things with the header that you couldn't do before. I'll just show a few of them really quick. So in our demo 1, we'll start the navigation bar starts at the bottom, and it's smart enough to know that the submenu's arrow goes up and these go up. But then once I get up here, it starts to go down, and then it sticks to the top of the page. That's something that we've been wanting for quite a while. In this demo, my image is over here on the right as opposed to over on the left. And then also when I resize here, you'll see on tablet it's going to stack nicely like that. And then on mobile, it's going to get rid of my text menu and give me the hamburger menu, and then a nice full screen with a background image. So that's pretty sweet. And then you can also build like a mega menu type feature, which you can launch your menu, and then you could have something like this come up. So again, we're really excited about it, and yeah, be sure to check that out as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks again for your support. I wouldn't have the time to be able to do these free tutorials without folks like you buying our products and supporting us. So I really appreciate it, and I hope you're able to take the skills that I've showed you in this tutorial to better your websites and ultimately better your business. All right, y'all, stay fly.